What we're talking about is how we have enabled document processing within Microsoft using the OCR cognitive services alongside with Dynamics 365. My name is Ilyas Chaudhary. I'm an engineering manager in the core services and operations, core services engineering, which is also known as Microsoft IT. I'm joined with my colleague Anil Kumar Vemula, who will be helping me with the demo. So before we get into the slides, let me ask, how many people here know what is OCR or have read or heard about it? Awesome. So looks like very educated audience. So I won't have to spend a lot of time on the OCR. But we'll still talk about it for people who are not very sure or who have just read about it. We'll also look at the what process automation we have done using OCR and why was the need or the business use case which prompted us to go and investigate on this route. We'll look at the process flow in one of the applications in terms of how the data exchange is happening between the services. And then we'll talk about the demo, which would be a hands-on demo. Okay. So in terms of the OCR, as it's most commonly referred as, it's the optical character recognition. Generally, you would hear people calling it as OCR for abbreviation. It is a service which is available as part of the Microsoft Cognitive Services, which will extract the text out of any document or any kind of the content which you have, and then basically serve you that content as XML or JSON so that you can build your processing around that without having to go through the content manually. So why was the need, or what was the need in terms of what we did? So we do have a use case in one of our Dynamics 365 application, which is built on customer engagement. So the scenario was most of our customers and partners, when they have, they are reporting a revenue or when they are sending the contracts, the enterprise contracts, these come in a very well-defined format or Microsoft templates. And literally what the agents were doing were, they were processing that document and pulling out the data which was handwritten or filled out by the customer or the partners, sending in the document, and then converting it or adding or moving that content into Dynamics 365 manually. So that was literally taking a lot of time in terms of processing, and it required a lot of manual effort or the bandwidth for doing that. When we looked at this scenario, we started looking at or building something in-house, which was solving the need, but which wasn't enough. So if you see what we did here is, we started exploring the capabilities ourselves. But then as we do for most of our in-house implementations, we also reached out to our product team or the product partners who are building this service, and we said like, hey, how can we partner in terms of building this or making it as part of the core capability? So we had the use case or the real life scenario, and product team was very happy to see what we were looking for and how we can enable that scenario. So some of the things, if you see, right, I mean, most of the times when these documents are coming in, you would realize that either the clarity of the documents or the pictures which are coming in are not clear enough, or the document has been tilted when someone is sending it from their phone, so portrait versus landscape mode. When they come in, our services were good enough to process it in a certain format, but then all of these scenarios were not addressed. So we worked with the product team, and most of it, what we have done already, is going to be part of the out-of-the-box capabilities coming in with the cognitive services. So here's the business flow. I think I did a session on Cosmic on Monday. If you want to look at like how we use this solution for addressing the revenue processing service. But in this session, all I'm going to talk about is this Vision OCR, which is what the scenario we are talking about. So if you see most of the incoming channels which we have through Dynamics 365, whether it's emails or portals, are supported through this scenario, wherein I can go and upload a document through a portal, or I can send it to a dedicated mailbox. We do have the services built on top of it, which will extract the content out, and then we are calling or making a call to the Vision OCR service to literally pull out the details from the Word document. In this case, it's a Word document, but it could be PDF, it could be any other supported document type. We are taking the content out, we are adding it to the case body itself, which means we are saving away or saving on the time which is required on the manual efforts. If just from the high level number perspective, we were able to save around 6,000 hours of manual processing since we have enabled this scenario in the production. Let me hand it over to Anil, who will talk about the architecture and who will also jump into the demo right away.
Thank you, Elias. Hi, everyone. So as we discussed, like the partner to the Microsoft, he is going to submit a case in the volume licensing portal. In the internal, we say CLT portal. When he submits a case with the attached document, which is a PDF, the API is going to take this document and create a case in CRM Online system. At the same time, the attachment is going to be uploaded into Azure Blob. In this OCR space, we have an OCR web job, which will look into that blob, whether there is a new document I have to process. Once it finds a new document, it's going to get the attached case details and the blob, and it's going to get the raw text, raw JSON out of the PDF file by using the Microsoft Computer Vision API 2.0 version. So once we got the raw JSON string, we are going to get the key value pairs out of that JSON string and store it into a Azure SQL DB for further processing. Once the OCR extraction is done from the PDF scan document, the agent who is going to work on this case goes to CRM and clicks a button that we are going to show in the demo. And when the button is clicked, he's going to open a Power App, which is nothing but his validation interface, where he is going to check the data extracted by OCR field by field, like a agreement number, enrollment number, or the company name, and make sure that his job is to make sure the OCR data which is extracted by the system is correct. Because OCR is not always correct 100%, because it may be due to the scan, the blurry version, whatever. So in the UI, he is going to validate each and every field. If needed, he is going to correct the data and saves it to the backend. Once the data is ready for the processing, our API is going to prepare the data for the external system, such as in this case, we have CRM system. In the CRM system, we are going to fill the data such as, for this case, who is the end customer and what is the enrollment number that we are working on, and also such as like external systems like order system, compliance systems, etc. So let's get to the quick demo. So this is the document that Ashwin, the partner, is going to send to Microsoft for his license processing. So if you see the elements such as agreement number, enrollment number, company name, and also such as signature, name of entity, etc. So what we are doing in the back end, like every document will have a unique value to recognize. So our OCR engine will look for this footer, saying that this footer is unique for this document template. So I will check that once I get this footer extracted from the document, our job will kick in. It's going to check, okay, I need these set of fields, field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4. And I'll get the JSON. I will check, okay, whenever I find the agreement number in my output, I'm going to get the next value which is available in the document. And also, the job, what is going to do is, it is going to check with external systems. For example, in Microsoft, whenever I get an enrollment number, something like 789 something, it should be a valid enrollment number. In the previous scenario, where agent is going to copy that enrollment number and going to a licensing system and make sure that it's valid. But here what we are doing is, in the back end, it is going to do automatically, saying that, yes, it is correct, or whatever the version he is using is correct. This is making sure that there is no fraudulent action happened in this document. Whatever the document we sent, he signed it. The partner signed it. And also any other value, such as when he signed it. So at this time, we are not exactly looking for each and every field value, only the main values that we are looking, that I will show you now.
So while you are switching on, right? What we were able to do is automate the validation, as Anil said, instead of someone manually copying the enrollment number and going into the other system and validating whether it's the right enrollment number. We are making a service call through the API itself and validating whether this number exists. The another great example for this kind of a use case is most of the times our partners are using the templates which are outdated or the templates which are not current. By knowing that this is the template type, and if the data comes in any other format, that's the outright rejection, which means our automated processing will send in a request or a update back to the partner saying like, hey, use the latest template. So all this work was happening manually before is now automated through the cognitive services.
Yes, thank you. Assume that the partner has submitted this case in the portal and a case is created in the Cosmic. Just let me refresh. Yeah. We can see there the document that is uploaded by the partner is available in CRM as an attachment, and this is processed by the OCR engine. And as a agent, I'm going to click on the Orbit launch button. By the way, Orbit is our internal code name or the tool name where agents will go to that UI and validate the results. So I'll click on the Orbit launch button. It is going to open a Power App. This is built on Power Apps.
So if you guys have heard or attended sessions on Power Apps, it's basically the enabling the scenario of the citizen developer wherein any of the business users can go and create a Canvas app, tie it with the data source. So it was a quick way for us to create this app and integrate it with Dynamics. So we are showing like how the power of the business applications power platform comes into can be shown as a whole in terms of the business offering.
Yeah, and also if you see like we have something like eligibility rules. So what we have mentioned like the validations and eligibility is happening before the document is actually eligible for the automation scenario. So if you see whether the form version, the footer is acceptable, or is it having only one attachment, or is it a file type PDF. So based on that, we are executing these rules, yes or no. This will alert the agent that yes, this document is certain type of category. So once we come to the data capture section, this is where, so we are interested in these fields. So we need these fields data to be available in my CRM system to process my case and to take this to closure. So if you see the agreement number, just you can ignore this duplicate, but if you see the name of entity, printed name, etc. So our business rule says that I need the actual name of entity. For the printed name and all, I just need to make sure that there is a printed name exists on the document. So for that, I could say like false, like as an agent, I could go and update these values. And also one more cool feature is like if I don't see the actual value here, I can click here. It is actually enlarging the image here itself. So I don't need to actually open the full document to see what is the actual value. So it's like enlarging the snippet. So we are actually showing that each field snippet here itself. So once I update my values, I can click Save Data Capture. So the data is saved in the back end. As an agent, I can click on this link, which will take me to Cosmic, the CRM system.
So while this loads, the reason we are enabling that Power App is, as Anil said, right? We trust on the OCR, but it is still new technology and the accuracy may not be 100%. So we don't want just the agents to assume that everything which is translated or pulled out is 100%. So we have bridged this gap by enabling the users or the agents to go in and validate the information. But if you see, we have taken out the step of them entering or re-entering that data. It's already captured. All they have to do is validate, and then once they acknowledge it, it moves on to the next stage.
Yeah. And the data that is extracted by OCR, the agent, like in the back end, the OCR job is going to update these fields such as what is the currency of this case, what is the revenue type, and what is the case revenue, who is the end customer, enrollment number. These fields are auto-populated by the OCR engine. So in the previous scenario where user has to manually go to each and each external system and validate whether it is correct. Then it has to get the who is the customer name and the customer name exists or not. So all these values will be auto-populated by this automation engine in this scenario. Yep.
All right, thanks, Anil. So what we are doing from here is, if you see, right, the version number which you saw as a checkbox on the Power App, there was a reason to have that. We have around 140 plus documents, which not all of them are supported yet. So we took the most commonly used document and we enabled this automation on that document. We are going to be enabling most of the other documents so that we take out the entire manual processing. What are we doing next on this is there are other scenarios within Microsoft. So we have business use cases like processing the documents like passports or the birth certificate, marriage certificates of our employees, which is used in the immigration scenario. We are going to take this OCR capability. We're going to try it out in that kind of a use case so that instead of my Microsoft employees manually entering their passport details when they submit in their visa application or the renewal application, they can just submit the document as a snapshot or as a PDF. We will extract out the details and we'll automate workflows using Dynamics 365. These are some of the resources which we have captured here, which are very useful in terms of getting you started with OCR, or if you have more details around or more questions around this capability. We are going to be here in the booth. You can come and ask us, or I can take questions if you have any right now.
Please give your feedback. Thank you.
A question on the document that you
Yep.
had pulled up, and it had like a field label and then the data next to it.
Yep.
Didn't look like there was any training on this particular type of document. That's what that cognitive service, I don't remember on the previous slide what it was called.
The computer vision API.
Yeah, so that
Was the custom. There was another API called custom vision API where we actually train the images saying that this image is a dog, this image is a cat.
right.
But this is something like the template is always same, but the values are going to change. It's like a number value or a text value, a string value. So this we have a training model in progress. That will be in a different. How it trains is we are going by the bounding boxes. If you see the OCR output of the computer vision, it gives you when you give any document, it actually takes each word and make sure that it is a valid English character, if it is an English language, or if it's a valid number, and it will get a bounding box for each text or each word, and also line-wise. So it will take the lines array and the words array, and it will say for this line, it is a XY coordinate, it has 8 values of the bounding box. So that's where our training, what we are trying to do is, I will have 1,000 documents in my previous fiscal year. I will push all these 1,000 documents to my engine. It will get, for this enterprise number, it will be always in this range. So it can be 100 to 110, always, X coordinate. And also it will be say 500 to 510. So I will say, I know that exactly always agreement number lives here, and also the value also lives here. So in that case, what I'm going to do is, in the next version, when I get a new document, in this range, get the value. So that's how I don't need to worry about the field and all. I just need the placement of that value.
All right, and you didn't actually configure that placement. The cognitive services found the text.
Yeah, that will be a custom implementation at this moment right now. But yes, it can be. I think at some point of time it will be available as a feature in the product itself.
Cool, nice.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, please submit your evaluations. One thing which we thrive upon is the feedback. So if you didn't like anything, or if you're expecting something in the session which should have been covered, please go and submit your feedback. We take the feedback very seriously. So let us know what you think about it, and thank you for attending. Have a fun rest of the evening.
Thank you very much.